And this is the first of those 90-degree corners. Welcome to the season finale of our 1991 Pierluigi Martini Formula 1 season in Automobilista 2. We are in Adelaide today and we are expecting a thrilling end to this season for two main reasons. One, the heavens have opened and it is really pouring down for this race, and two, we have a three-way title fight on our hand with Mansell 5 points ahead of Senna and Patrese. The situation still is quite a simple one. Senna or Patrese need to outscore Mansell by 6 points, which means a P2 is enough for Mansell to clinch the title today, but this is easier said than done, especially in these tricky conditions. The real race here in 1991 was red flagged after just 14 laps because of the rain and the ensuing chaos. Senna won ahead of Mansell and Berger, but later all three of them said that this was not a race and should probably never have been started. Our guy Pierluigi Martini also was one of the victims of the terrible conditions as he crashed out on the back straight. Now, considering this and also the poor results in the second half of the season, there just has to be one goal today, and that is surviving. On the starting grid you see once again a top 10 qualifying for Martini, so hopefully that makes surviving a bit easier, and you will also see more driver changes. After Prost said that the 1991 Ferrari drove like a truck, he was fired from the Scuderia, who snatched our teammate Gianni Morbidelli to drive for them, and for some reason not Capelli, who had already been freed to step in from Leighton House, where still Carl Wendlinger will drive instead of the Italian. And that means we are getting a new teammate for this race in the form of a balding Brazilian with the name of Roberto Moreno, who has almost driven for as many different teams this year as he's scored points. But all jokes aside, I like the guy and I'm glad that he gets another chance for this one. And now, it is time for the start of the Australian Grand Prix 1991. It's going to be a wild one. So, here we are on the grid, P10 again, as the lights go green for the finale of the 1991 Formula 1 season at Adelaide in Southern Australia, and it is a horrible getaway. We slide off the line as we go into the chicane here. We move past the Ligier that was briefly ahead of us, but still, we're 3 positions further down compared to where we started this race. Ahead of us is one of the Dellaras. It is JJ Lehto. As we are going through all of those 90-degree corners, where they're taking things very slow indeed. Now through this left-right combination that usually is a lot quicker. But in these circumstances, everybody's taking care not to spin around or to crash out immediately. And so far, this has all gone pretty good. So no accidents or mistakes ahead of us. Which on the other hand means we didn't gain anything after turn 2. Now this will be the main overtaking spot, Clarion Corner, just after the Brabham Street, the circuit's heaviest braking zone. As we move alongside Lehto briefly, we still have a wheel alongside as we squeeze our way through there. It was getting very tight. Luckily Lehto saw us, so up into P12 as we are about to round the final corner to go back onto the pit straight, just behind the Tyrrell of Stefano Modena. At first it seemed like we would get a better exit, but we didn't, so Modena pulling away again on the pit straight as we start lap 2 of this race, as I will let you enjoy this chase now as I stay silent for a bit. And we go for a very late move, as Modena and Moreno are having quite the battle of their own. We move around the outside of Modena and go up to 11th, so now we are behind our new teammate and our teammate, which is only our teammate for this race. And on that lap you were able to identify where I can go quicker than the AI, and this is here, this last bit of the track, especially out of turn 1 for the last corner for a moment, but then on the outside there's just much more grip. On the inside there's a lot of standing water, so I struggle to get the power down, and then I'm slow at this part of the track, but as soon as we get to all of those 90-degree corners I can go much quicker than the AI. However, as soon as it gets back to the rather more flowy bits of the track, that is where I struggle again. This time we are almost close enough to try and move against Moreno, but I'm not far enough alongside to really properly try anything, and luckily I backed out of there because, as expected, Moreno did not see me there because, well, it just was not on that move. So we have to do it elsewhere. Now, usually this here could be an opportunity, but the next corner, Brewery Bend, I'm really struggling a lot because I'm scared on going onto the curbs, and well, it is a good thing to not go on the curbs on these conditions, but still we get a good run on him as even ahead of the braking zone. I was about to say we are past Moreno, then lifts off the brakes for a moment, briefly goes ahead again, but then yeah, we still managed to pull off that move to return to P10, just where we started this race. And now we're following the two Benettons and the two Ferraris. We were gaining quite a lot. This is lap 4 and we were already with them. This is towards the end of the lap, just after the hairpin. And something has happened to the Ferraris because they've been really slow on that lap, and both of them come into the pit, so I guess they have taken damage somewhere. So that means we move up to P8 without having done anything for that. But that means we are now following the two Benettons, one of which is currently in the final point scoring position. And for the moment we were able to stay with them, as you join me here in lap 6. And this is the first of those 90-degree corners. This time I leave it way too late on the brakes. I just stop ahead of the tire wall. I have even to reverse out of there. Luckily, no one behind us was able to take advantage of that, because we've been going much quicker than Moreno and our next opponents behind. But that means the chase after the Benettons is on hold for now, because we've lost, like, I don't know, upwards of 5 seconds there. But more good news, as we're now in lap 13, sorry, in P8 still. We are encountering lapped traffic for the first time. It is a very short lap, this one, so there will be loads and loads of traffic. That actually was Joao Lacey, who has not recovered well after that pit stop, and again I struggle out off the final corner, which briefly allows a Lazy back through, but then, well, he realizes that he's a lap down and drops behind us again. Now we pass Delara, and I think that was the Leighton House of Karl Wendlinger. We're still 8th, but we're now just behind Michael Schumacher, who has just lapped Nakajima. And now he has some trouble with the Ligier. There was a big lag and some sort of an explosion by the looks of it. That did not happen. So the lag did happen while recording. The explosion was not there when I was recording, but, well, explosive maneuver making use of the Ligier that was getting into the way of Michael Schumacher as we move up to P7. Now Nelson Piquet has checked out a bit from his teammate, so he's nowhere to be seen, but we are ahead of the Michael. You know, we have a history this season. He took us out of the Belgian Grand Prix in a promising position back when Schumacher was driving for Jordan that one race. But now we are ahead of him again. He is still there, had a little look into the hairpin, but, well, he did not have to need a look there, as I just simply drive onto the grass and let him by. So, yeah, that heroic move past Bootsen did not really help us. But, well, there certainly will be another opportunity. And again, it is due to traffic where the AI are really losing here. And it is the same spot. It is the same spot. And this time, it is Schumacher's old and future rival, Mika Häkkinen, who gets in the way of the German. And again, we say thank you very much. And this time, for a change, I did not make an immediate mess out of it a couple of corners later, as I stuck with that P7. And things were about to get even better. More traffic just ahead of us. I still can't make out who that is, but I know that the next cars, which are Nelson Piquet and Andrea De Cesaris, are in there. So, past Lecter we go. Crazy. We passed him on the opening lap, and just before the halfway point of this race, we go a lap ahead, and now, oh, there is a big cluster of cars ahead, so this might be very, very tricky for the AI, but also for us. So the first one is the Brabham of Martin Brundle, and then, oh, that is actually the Cesaris. We are ahead of the Cesaris, and we are even gaining on Nelson Piquet, but ahead of Brewery Bend, where no way it was going to go 3 wide. That was never going to work, so I back out of that, back into P7, which also means there is a big opportunity gone to again get an easy position. Now, it isn't impossible to overtake in Adelaide, especially in these conditions, but still, it is a street track, and in its nature, it's a lot more difficult as we lap 3 cars there in a row. A Leighton House in there, and Alessandro Zanardi in the other Jordan. Unfortunately, it wasn't the Cesaris that we just effortlessly passed there, but still, we were now close to Piquet and the Cesaris, and this would be for P5. Again, I will let you enjoy this chase with the sound of the V12 engine. Now, as you may have been able to see on that previous lap, as we have just entered the second half of this race, there are a couple of corners where we were very close to the Cesaris. Again, through these 90-degree corners, we are gaining a lot of him, and this may be an opportunity here on the exit, because we are able to get the power down much easier at first. But then this quick left-right, this is not really a corner where you would overtake. And then there is this one. I was thinking about it the lap earlier, I don't know if you saw that, but this time I thought like, okay, screw it, yeah, let's go for it. And we actually make it work. Well, it was a bit of a forced move, of course, but I think sometimes you have to do this, especially in these conditions and on a track like that. Now, the Cesaris though gets a good run on towards the hairpin. We are pretty late on the brakes. There is an opening for him to dive inside. He did not, as we got the power down just in time, and now it is the next car that we have to follow around the track. Now, because of that battle, Nelson Piquet gained like, I don't know, a second and a half there. So there is a bit of a gap now. But again, this final corner is one where it's going really well for us. And this time maybe I struggle not too much with getting the power down. Again, he gets a bit of time on us. But yeah, again, we're approaching the 90-degree corners 4, 5 and 6, and look, again, it is crazy how much we're gaining here. The AI is really cautious through here. I know it is wet, but they're struggling at very different points of the track compared to me. Again, this is ahead of the quick left-right. This is where the AI has a bit of an advantage. And this is where we pass the Cesaris a lap before, and we get very close at the exit. There even is a bit of contact. They almost lose the car, so a bit of a brown pants moment there. Luckily, we are still in 6th, but there was a bit of time to be gained on Nelson Piquet again, so you join me a lap later, lap 24, and again we're coming towards my favorite bit of track, even though it may well be the most boring part of the track. What does that say about me? Probably nothing good, but still, we are gaining on Piquet again, and this time I was going for something audacious. And somehow I made it work. I kept my wheel alongside him, and that meant he had to compromise his run through that corner, and for the second part of that corner I was on the inside, so we move up to P5. And still, I mean, we had 2 small moments in this race, but apart from that, I think this hit until here is probably the best race of my season, if I even say so. It was a very sweaty affair, and it was a very physical one. Like, I'm not even joking, I had cramps in my left butt cheek after that one, because you also had to be so careful on the brakes. But yeah, point in case, as I almost run right at the final corner. But again, there still was some strange things going on, as all of a sudden we're up to P4, and that is because Ayrton Senna has come into the pits, and I checked the replay afterwards. He came in for fresh tires. I don't know why he would do that. I mean, I guess I don't think the AI is that smart, as he already passes us, and I don't think there is any way we could have held Senna behind for 15 laps. But yeah, he went for fresh tires, and that was because he was third, so out of the championship for him. So they had to try something, McLaren. This is how I would explain it. But then again, I don't think the AI in Automobilista would be that smart. So yeah, don't know why the McLarens pitted. And yes, I said McLarens, plural, because as you see me go onto the final lap, I'm again in 4th, and that is because Gerhard Berger also made a pit stop, but he dropped further behind. He's even behind Piquet and the Cesaris. So that means I'm going on to the final lap. Nothing happened pretty much between me being overtaken by Senna and this lap that you see here now. So it is looking really good for another points race. And of all of the races of the second half of the season, where there are a lot of tracks that I do like, out of all of those races, it is the wet street race where all of a sudden things do work again after a terrible second half of the season. As though maybe I'm speaking too soon. Look at that, two cars ahead of us. They could yet still cause trouble as we make our way on towards the Brabham Straight and on towards the hairpin. Oh, I think we might still need to lap them. What's that? That is one of the Lotuses. Is this Häkkinen? He helped us earlier. It is Häkkinen. Oh my word, that was late. Oh, why did I go for that? I even pushed him wide. That is Minardi who we lap as well. But yeah, now only 3 more opportunities for me to mess things up. But no more lap traffic out. That was a bit hairy now into the hairpin, I admit it. But we finish this season on a high. It is a 3rd points finish for Pierluigi Martini and Minardi, as again we come home 4th at Adelaide. What a finish to that season. And of course we take a look at the point scorers of this race. So it is another Williams 1-2, Mansell finishing this one in style ahead of his teammate Patrese, and then Senna in 3rd. As you saw, we finished 4th ahead of Nelson Piquet and Gerhard Berger, who fought his way up to 6th again. And in the Drivers' Championship, no surprise after winning this one, our championship leader Nigel Mansell has finally sealed it, and you must say deservedly so. He had a lot of bad luck with retirements when he was leading, so he was like dominating this season. A lot of bad luck has put him in a situation where he might have lost it all on this final race, but he didn't. He kept his cool, he won this one, and he won the championship, a deserved champion ahead of his teammate Patrese and Ayrton Senna. Berger just holds on to 4th thanks to his 6th place today and a 2nd place, which Nelson Piquet didn't manage, so he's 4th on countback. Alain Prost, who was missing this race, is only 6th. And then the second page, this is the one that is interesting for us. Jean Alesi on 13 points is 7th, and we move up 1 spot as we finish 8th. I was worried that we might lose a position to Schumacher in this final race. Well, we didn't. We even gained one on the Cesaris. So we are best of the rest pretty much. The Cesaris then 9th, Schumacher, Gachot and Moreno. Moreno indeed drove for more teams than he scored points, as I said in the beginning. Funny fact that. And then the last 2 point scorers were Lehto and Modena. Constructors' Championship, well, this one was pretty much decided in the beginning. Williams wins ahead of McLaren, but Benetton moved past Ferrari in this final race because of 2 third places. They are 3rd. Ferrari only has 1 third place to their name, so that means Benetton is 3rd in the end. Then it is Jordan ahead of Minardi, and then on the second page, Dallara and Tyrrell, the only other teams that scored points. Well guys, and that has been it for the 1991 Australian Grand Prix, but also our Formula 1 season 1991 in Automobilista 2. Well, I've let you already vote for the next season that I will tackle in this series, and with an overwhelming majority, you've decided that we will be doing the 1999 season next. Really excited for that one, really excited for the V10s, so subscribe to not miss that, leave a like if you did enjoy this video and this series, and I hope to see you all the next time. Until then, goodbye.